This is the Jasper experience on Common Sense TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Jasper and you're watching Common Sense TV. And today we're having episode number 15 of the Common Sense Talk. And today we've got a special guest, Christine Anderson. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
You're more than well. Thanks for having that you're talking to us. I understand you're really busy.
Yeah, but I always have time for sensible people conducting sensible interviews. So
perfect. Let's start. I know a lot of our supporters know you, but let's start your political career. You started 11 years ago with the that you joined the Alternative for Germany.
Right. Correct.
6 years later, you joined the European Union as a member.
Right.
And we're going up to the new elections.
Exactly.
So why do people need to get up, vote for the European elections?
Yeah, it is vitally important at this point because when you look at the legislation that has to be implemented in the member states, 80% of that legislation is actually coming from EU Parliament.
No.
And the national member states, they don't really have any kind of leeway anymore. You know, they have to implement whatever they're dreaming up of on EU level. And whatever they are coming up with, it has nothing to do with freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. So we're talking about infringements on fundamental rights, of surrendering competencies and jurisdiction, you know, to bestow it on EU Parliament or EU Commission rather. EU Commission is like, you know, the non-elected government of the EU, and they pretty much run the show. But it's not like that the EU Commission is actually calling the shots. They're just puppets of, you know, whoever is actually running the show. Mm-hmm. So, but people really need to take the EU seriously because we are talking about, giving up our rights, our freedom, our national states, our sovereignty, all of that. That's all on the table right now.
Yeah. So I'm from Holland, you're from Germany, we're all Europeans, but I read on your Facebook page that you joined the European Union to get out of this miserable hellhole, I guess.
Right.
So I think every country within the European Union has its own problems, but it comes from the European Union on itself.
Exactly.
I think I'm a proud Dutchie. I know you're a proud German.
I am.
Exactly, and I think somebody from Spain is.
Exactly, and you know that's where the problem actually starts. Mm-hmm. We're now being told if you are proud of your heritage, of your country, then you're a despicable person.
Yeah.
And by being proud of your country, you're actually putting other countries down. Which is not.
It's not.
Absolutely not what this means. I mean, everyone is probably, every parent is proud of their child, of their children. That doesn't mean that they hate other people's children. Mm-hmm. It does not mean that at all. But you are and should be allowed to be proud of where you came from, what your roots are, your national identity, your cultural identity. You have a right to be proud of that.
Exactly.
That does not mean that you put other people down or other cultures down. It doesn't mean that at all. And that's where this whole madness actually, starts. Let's, for God's sake, get rid of this insanity. So yes, I'm proud of my country. And why shouldn't I be proud of my country? And there is another aspect to that. With the left, they completely ignore. If you do not allow the people to identify with their heritage, with their country, with their national identity, with their cultural identity, why should they pay taxes for a system that they're not allowed to feel proud of and feel a part of it? Why should they pay taxes? So, but the taxes is what they need to finance their ridiculous agendas.
And the budgets within the European Union are enormous, and they're not going to the citizens, they're going to big pharma, big tech, big corporations. You started with a strong voice within the European Union when it came down to the COVID measurements. Can you tell me a bit more how it came to you and how you react on that?
Well, I mean, it was, to me, it was pretty early on. I figured something doesn't add up here.
Doesn't make sense.
So in the very beginning, it was like, I didn't know what was coming. I was like, okay, there's this virus, and it was supposed to be a novel virus and all of that. And then it immediately started with labeling it a conspiracy theory that it came from a lab, right? So when they insisted, no, it's zoonotic, like it happened in nature. But I mean, I'm not a scientist, but everyone with half a brain
Could figure out.
knows that, a natural development in nature, it takes decades.
Yeah.
Especially looking at the spike protein, it was perfectly matched to the human genome where it would latch on. This does not happen within 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And besides, this takes like decades, and you would see evidence of that. You would see the development of that virus, in various animals or whatever. There was none of that. So it was pretty clear, it did come from a lab. The only thing we didn't know, or don't know to this day, was it released by accident or deliberately? That's the one question that, still hasn't been answered. But like I said, it started really weird, and this concerted effort to suppress anything that did not support the official narrative. There was like, and also once the measurement started, the restrictions started, I was like, that doesn't even make any sense. And I was reminded of the year 2009 when the swine flu came about. And I was like, they're doing it again. They're actually doing it again. But they had learned from their mistakes back then. And they were more successful this time around.
But then successful in suppressing people. We saw all over the world, within Europe, within Canada, Australia.
Everywhere.
We were locked up. People were arrested by official governments. We were forced to have a shot. We've not been tested.
Right.
Cost millions.
Right.
Trillions, maybe.
Right. But it's like I said, all of these restrictions. It was never about breaking any wave. It was always about breaking people. That's what it was all about. They wanted to force us into compliance, submission. Don't question anything. And if you do, you are anti-science.
Trust your leader.
Exactly. You're harming people. You're killing people. You have no idea how many times I was accused of literally killing people because I did not wear a mask, right? So I'm a mass murderer now because I didn't wear a mask. I was killing people. Seriously? This is where we're going with this? It's insane.
A colleague of yours, you're a member of the European Parliament, a Dutch colleague of yours asked the Pfizer CEO of the Girl Honor it.
Rob Roos,
Rob
that
Roos,
was brilliant.
Massive. But it's not for transmission the virus.
Exactly, they never tested it.
They never tested it, but we had to wear a mask to protect our elderly, our children. We've been forced into some sort of medicational stuff. And then what went throughout the whole world is Justin Trudeau came up at the European Union and you raised your voice. Can you tell us a bit more about it? Because I know a lot of Canadians are watching this and they want to hear about how that was, that feeling on you and how you want to handle Trudeau.
Well, first of all, I had a blast doing it. I literally had fun doing it. And it was kind of like, so I didn't really find out until that very day that Justin Trudeau was going to address us in chambers, right? And he was going to speak about freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. And I'm like, this guy is coming here to lecture us on freedom, democracy, and the rule of law? I'm like, I don't think so. So I didn't get regular speaking time. There was like the heads of the individual groups. They had the speaking time. So I raised the point of order. And I was trying to, where I was trying to get at with my point of order is for him not to be allowed to speak in the House at all, right? So first I raised the point of order, saying kind of like, he's addressing the House under an article which isn't really, fitting for this instance. So he should speak under 144, an article which was specifically designed to debate violations of human rights, democracy, and all the shebang.
And you found it out in one day.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So and then I just went on and pretty much told him that he is in violation of what he's trying to lecture us on. He's actually
doing itself,
being in violation of that by labeling the truckers as terrorists and all of that. Yeah, but that's pretty much what I did. And like I said, I had fun doing it. And I just really felt someone had to say something. Yeah. And I wasn't quite sure if anyone was going to do that. Mm-hmm. So I figured, well, just to be sure, I have to do it myself. And
Well, good on you. Congratulations. We had a blast as well because finally somebody told him the truth.
So the thing is, I only had 60 seconds to raise my point of order. So I think I spent these 60 seconds well. But that's the reason I kind of rushed through that, because I was really concerned that the president would just kill my mic once she realized where I was going with this, right? And but once I was done and, she admonished me, no, Ms. Anderson, I can assure you Justin Trudeau will speak in this house. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I tried.
Exactly. So that's at least one thing that we can do, raise our voice and say no to this.
Exactly.
Within the European Union, you're not only a member of Parliament, but you're in a couple of commissions.
Committees. Right.
Immigration and culture, for example. Equality and women.
It's not immigration, it's just culture and education.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And media kind of goes in there too.
I saw that with the digital
Service Act.
Yeah, Service Act. So what's that? I think it's you joined it probably to give an anti-voice until the mainstream thought.
Well, the Digital Service Act, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff they're coming up with. What we just voted on this past week is the so-called Media Freedom Act.
Yeah.
Isn't that a great word? I mean, who doesn't want the media to be free, right? I mean, seriously.
I'm feeling suppressed by them.
Exactly, and that's just the point. They come up with all these euphemisms, these nice words.
Happy words.
Exactly, and I mean, who would want to fight, a piece of legislation that is titled Media Freedom Act? Anyone doing that has to be an anti-democrat, right? It's but once you look into that piece of legislation, it's not about granting the press freedom. No. It's not about protecting journalists. It's about censorship. Yeah. It's about kind of like coming down on disinformation, misinformation, and malinformation. That's the new thing now. So the differences are misinformation is information that you give out unintentionally. You don't know better. You made a mistake in your assumption. So unintentionally you are spreading information that is not correct. Yeah. Disinformation is the deliberate spreading of information that is factually not correct. Malinformation, however, is the spread of factually correct information, which is harmful, whatever that means. Yeah. So, an example would be to say there's only two sexes, men and women. This is a factually, scientifically, absolutely correct statement.
100%.
But it's considered harmful, so that's why you cannot spread malinformation anymore. Yeah. And that's where the Media Freedom Act comes in, the Digital Service Act comes in to cut down on hate speech and misinformation and all of that. It's censorship, point blank. Yeah.
So our unelected Queen von der Leyen, we're saying.
I wouldn't call her a queen.
No, it's she made herself a queen. She's unelected.
She is corrupt.
She is
to the last bone of her body.
But she was saying in the European Parliament, climate change is not the problem. COVID is not the problem. Mis and disinformation is the problem, and that's where I'm starting to be afraid. I'm not afraid, but to have make a word out of it, is that we are getting censored.
Right.
The free word, the free press is
Right.
getting censored, and I think
Right.
that's what they're aiming for.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, the hallmark of any totalitarian regime is they need to control the narrative. So a lot of people don't know that there is actually a difference between a dictatorship and totalitarianism.
Yeah.
A dictatorship, the dictator, all he is interested in is staying in power.
Yeah.
He doesn't care what the people think about him. He just wants them to kind of shut up.
Yeah.
But he does not care what they think. Totalitarianism, on the other hand, they need to have total control of each and every single aspect of each and every single individual's life.
Yeah.
They need to control their thinking, how they feel. That's totalitarianism. So, and that is actually what we're looking at. We are now being controlled. Our way of thinking is controlled. So, like I said, if you say, there's only two sexes, men and women, then you are this evil, despicable person. And they ostracize you, they defame you, stigmatize you.
But that for now is that's okay. But if we were looking in Canada, and I think what's happening with the new laws within the European Union, you're gonna be jailed for it.
Exactly. So I mean, yeah, there is but that is what totalitarianism is all about, And the people, once again, they fail to realize and see it and recognize it. But I mean, how more obvious could it be? Can it be? We just had the incidents in Germany a few weeks back. There was a 16-year-old student, and what she had done, she had posted a TikTok video, reposted it, and it showed it was like a Smurf, and it stated, what do the Smurfs and Germany have in common? They're both blue. And blue is the color of my party, right? And then it was like a map of Germany and the states where we are leading in the polls.
Yeah.
And the last statement was Germany is not just a location; it's a homeland. The principal of that school came across that video and he called the police on her for allegedly having violated or delegitimized the state, its institutions, and its representatives by posting this TikTok video. So the police showed up, they, escorted her out of class, and they spoke to her. I mean, can you imagine?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and we are not talking about Germany in 1935 or 36. We're not talking Germany in 1985.
Yeah.
We're talking about Germany 2024.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And if people don't realize how serious this has become, whoa, we are going to be in big trouble.
I think we're heading to that, and that's why we need people within politics, local politics, European politics, to stand up, show their balls, and we're not taking this. And I think you're doing a great job in that, so thank you for that. And not only you've got a sort of coalition, you're working with a lot of people from different countries within Europe, like-minded people. So can you tell me a bit more about that coalition?
Yeah, so that actually started out, we were 4.
Yeah.
Out of 705 MEPs, 4 of us. And we started, that's it, we had enough with this, right? It's insane. And we started to speak out.
Yeah.
So, and we stirred up so much by just, speaking our minds and sharing it with the world pretty much. That was, that stirred up a lot of things in the EU Parliament. So it led to the fact that our colleagues from the other groups who are not, like-minded, they started despising us. We were given nasty looks. They, actually, I still have colleagues. They will step off the elevator the minute I step on.
Sure.
It's insane.
It's childish.
I know. But I kind of figure, are they really, not principled enough to stand being in the same elevator with me? What do they expect? That, kind of like my way of thinking jumps them and
make them ill? Or
I know. So it's insane. But what we also had is staff, whether it was security, whether it was cleaning crew, or administration in EU Parliament, they were really appreciative. And I mean, when I walked, so many people that came up to me and thanked us and, please continue and we are with you and thank you so much. Finally, someone is doing something and speaking up. So, yeah, there was like this discrepancy, of the members of EU that despised us all of a sudden, or not all of a sudden, but now even more.
Is it not jealous? Don't you think they're jealous on you?
No, they're just plain stupid.
Yeah, that's the answer. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking about the European Union, I'm thinking about trading and working together.
Right.
And we need the leftists, the globalists are talking about we need to have the European because we don't, then we don't get war.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of like So the way the EU started out, it was the European Economic Association, something like that. So it started out, it was a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Right?
Working together, building.
Exactly. But then, they started to want to make it into the United States of Europe, or, whatever they're going to call it. So, and they're working on it tirelessly. And it's insane. So they came up with, now we needed a constitution in Europe. And as I said before, thankfully, it was the Dutch and it was the French that got to vote on it. There was a referendum, and these both countries, you guys and the French, they voted no.
Yeah.
And luckily you guys did. Well, in Germany, they never even asked us.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as a referendum on a federal level in Germany. So our constitution calls for referendums, but every single government ever since 1949 has failed to pass legislation on how to conduct a federal referendum. That's why we don't have them. That's the only reason. Right?
In Holland, it's hard to get a referendum. On state level, we can't do that, but on provincial level, we can still have it. But you have to get autographs in and that. I wanted to ask you about the European elections because you joined the European Union to bring Germany out of the European.
I actually joined the European Parliament, the EU Parliament, by the way.
To get out of the European Union, and we're calling for an exit. Like the Brexit, how are we going to reach that? How is the path, the way to go?
What we would like as my party, what we would like to achieve at the very least is to get a referendum. Yeah. So the German people can actually vote on whether or not we should leave the EU. I'm convinced there is no other way. We have to leave because they will not take no for an answer.
That's what I mentioned.
So the only way to preserve your national identity, your cultural identity, your national sovereignty is to actually get out of this hellhole. And a positive side effect of Germany actually leaving EU would be then the party would be over. Because they would have not the funds to finance their idiocy and their stupidity any longer. So that would save pretty much everyone's problem.
Exactly. So the problem's in court because now in Holland 95% of the laws are not fitting because they're overruled by the European Union. But it's the same thing. If we go out of the European Union, we can have all kinds of treaties with the United Nations, NATO, World Economic Forum, World Health Organization. We can get out of there. They're overruling our sovereignty.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, just look at what they're trying to do with WHO right now. Yeah. Right? So we're actually talking about granting a non-elected body with governing powers. Yeah. So WHO can call out an epidemic, and once they have done so, they will seize the governing powers of the member states. But the thing is this. They weren't elected. They're not accountable to the people. So how is this supposed to work? And what can the people, I mean, in a democracy is if the government, imposes legislation on you that the people don't want, then they can vote them out of office.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with the WHO? You
Yeah.
can't vote them out of office because you never voted them in. They are not accountable to you.
Yeah.
So, and you know, the whole point about this actually is, they kind of figured out during this COVID pandemic, they would have loved to impose far stricter restrictions on the people, like cut down on fundamental rights, you know, even more than they already had done. But they had a problem because the elected officials, elected representatives,
Yeah.
will be up for re-election.
Yeah.
And if they, you know, bash down on the people too hard, they might not get re-elected. So, and the solution to that is now, well, we just, you know, have the WHO call the shots. And what they're achieving with that is actually providing plausible deniability
Yeah.
to the elected officials. Because now they can say, well, we didn't take away your freedom, we didn't infringe on your rights, it was the WHO.
You just
So
take them
nothing-
advice and implement it.
Nothing we can do about this, right? Yeah, that's what it is. And that's the same way how it works with the EU institutions.
Yeah.
So in the national parliaments, the parties, they, you know, kind of like push or resist things that they kind of think the people don't want. But on EU level, the very same party, they do exact the opposite. So, and once again, in the national parliament, the politicians say, well, we didn't do this. It's coming from EU. There is nothing we can do about it,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, plausible deniability, blaming the other guy.
I call it, they don't have the balls enough to do so. We need people in power with balls to change that. We need, I think, one way to achieve that is a smaller governance. And I think what we're always trying to forget is, what we're forgetting is that we're the people have the power, and we need the elite
Exactly.
to have a road or something, just the basic stuff, and not to interfere with our personal life, with our personal health.
Exactly. Yeah, in a democracy, it's that, yeah, the people, they're the boss, and the government is actually the employee.
Yeah.
And the employee has to do what the boss is telling them to do.
Yeah.
But they managed to switch this around,
Yeah.
where it's now the government is telling the people what they have to want. Right?
All the way
it's
around?
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today you're going to speak at, today is Sunday, and we've got you're going to speak at the Future is Ours. What do you think of that event?
I'm very excited.
Yeah?
And I'm really glad I came. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm very excited, and going to be meeting a lot of people once again. And I love meeting people. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and we'll just see how it goes.
Perfect. I think I'm really interested, and I think the energy in that room is going to be massive. I want to give you a small gift.
Oh.
Of course, we need. This is from the Whistle Stop Cafe. It's not only a cafe; it's a gas station, natural gas.
Yeah.
And we're selling those, and we wanted to have that as a gift for you.
Yeah,
That we don't need the clean energy as they're telling. We need to have a reliable energy, and I think gasoline is
Yeah.
one of those.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having this talk, Christine. I wish you all the luck, and
Thank you.
make sure you're gonna kick some ass with the European elections.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't know how to do it any other way. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for this.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Common Sense TV on the Whistle Stop Cafe. This is Christine Anderson for European Parliament. Thank you for watching.